Have you ever felt that kindness might have a life of its own? Tonight, Lina will discover a coat. Not just for warmth, but something that can protect her, or test her very soul. Will she survive the secrets hidden in the darkness of this cold night? Watch closely, what she finds will change her life forever. The first cold wind of winter brushed against Lina's cheeks, and she felt the sting as sharply as a whispered warning. She pulled her thin jacket closer, but the fabric trembled in her hands, as if it feared the cold more than she did. Frosty air drifted between the tall buildings, curling like pale fingers around her ankles, lifting the fine hairs on her arms. Her breath formed small clouds, floating in front of her, before dissolving into the dim evening light. The street was quiet, too quiet, as though every sound had been swallowed by the frozen dusk. A distant street lamp flickered, painting the cracked pavement with nervous flashes of gold. Lina stepped forward, and the ground seemed to shift ever so slightly, as if something beneath it exhaled. She stopped, heart thumping, ears ringing with the sudden silence. A strange warmth brushed across her back. A soft pressure, like someone gently draping a coat over her shoulders. The warmth spread slowly, almost tenderly, seeping through her thin jacket, soothing the shivers along her spine. She turned, expecting to see a stranger behind her. A kind face, a warm smile, an outstretched hand offering help. But the street behind her was empty, and the air was still, and the shadows pulled deeper at her feet. The warmth pulsed, once, twice, growing heavier, as if invisible arms tightened around her shoulders, pulling her closer, holding her in place. A faint whisper drifted past her ear, soft, fragile, almost grateful, and she felt the hairs on her neck rise, as the warm pressure slid slowly down her back, curling around her waist, drawing her toward the darkness between the buildings, where the voice seemed to wait, breathing, slowly, deliberately. As she took one hesitant step forward, Lina's foot hovered over the cracked pavement, frozen mid-step. The warmth around her waist felt almost alive, shifting with a rhythm that matched her racing heartbeat. It was not the comforting warmth of a blanket. It was heavy, deliberate, aware. She tried to pull back. Her hands clawed at the invisible weight pressing her down. Her jacket rustled faintly, the only sound breaking the silence. Every fiber of her being screamed to run, yet her body refused. A soft scent rose through the air. Earthy, damp, faintly sweet. It made her stomach tighten with unease. She blinked, trying to make sense of the street. The buildings appeared taller, darker, leaning slightly toward her, as though they were eavesdropping. Her breath came in shallow gasps. The small clouds of air vanished too quickly in the cold. Her fingers tingled from the chill, yet the warmth that clung to her back remained. It was dissonant, like a promise and a threat rolled into one. From the shadows, a low murmur emerged. It was not words, not yet. Just a vibration in the air, almost felt in her chest. She tilted her head, straining to hear it, and the sound seemed to echo in her bones, rattling along the spine, shaking her sense of balance. Her instincts screamed to flee, yet some part of her, a part she did not trust, stayed rooted. The warmth tightened again, nudging her forward, guiding her into the alley between the two tallest buildings. The alley reeked of wet stone and decay. A few scattered papers shivered under the lamplight, like frightened birds. Each step she took made the stones feel colder beneath her shoes, as if the earth itself disapproved. The faint whisper returned, closer. Now she could almost make out shapes in it. Soft syllables she could not understand, and yet, a pull in her chest made her lean in to listen. The warmth became oppressive. It pressed at her shoulders and chest, yet it did not burn. It felt patient, waiting. She could feel a heartbeat against her back, not her own. A slow, heavy thump, measured, deliberate. Suddenly, the alley widened into a courtyard she had never seen before. The sky overhead was a patchwork of gray clouds, streaked with something unnatural, like faint violet veins in the air. The lamplight from the street barely reached here. Shadows clung to corners, shifting with every heartbeat. The warmth contracted sharply, painful, almost electric. Her knees buckled, and she fell to her hands. The cobblestones were slick with ice in patches, reflecting the dim lamplight like fractured mirrors. Lina's fingers scraped against the stone, leaving thin red streaks. And still, the warmth held her in place, inescapable. A shape emerged from the deepest shadow of the courtyard. Tall, elongated, and indistinct. It moved without sound. The edges of it shimmered slightly, like heat haze over asphalt in summer. Her breath caught. Her throat went dry. The whispering grew clearer. It was layered, multiple voices, soft, distant, almost pleading. Yet beneath it, a tone of warning vibrated, deep and commanding. Lina's eyes darted around, but the courtyard held nothing solid. Everything was warped, walls slightly leaning, windows like blank eyes staring down at her. A cold gust swept through the courtyard. It smelled of soil, iron, and old smoke. It rattled the lamplight, and the shadows flickered like they were alive. The warmth at her back twisted, pulling her forward again. This time, there was no choice. Her legs obeyed against her will, moving toward the center of the courtyard, where the shadow waited, silent and patient. The closer she got, the more the air seemed to thicken. Her lungs burned as though filled with icy syrup. Each breath rattled in her chest. She tried to scream, to call for help, but no sound escaped. The warmth wrapped around her torso like a cage, restricting, suffocating. And then she saw it. The shadow stretched upward and outward, forming what looked like arms, but wrong, impossible, distorted. It was human, yet not human. Its face was a void, a dark mirror that reflected nothing yet somehow showed her every fear she had ever hidden. The whispering coalesced into a single voice, close to her ear now, warm and cold at the same time. It spoke her name. Lina's heart lurched. It knew her. Not her name, but her soul. The warmth surged, pressing her chest into her stomach. And she felt memories she had buried twist and writhe as though alive. Fear, guilt, shame, hope, and longing all mixed together in a crushing wave. Her knees touched the frozen ground. Her hands scraped against the stone, trying to push away from the invisible hold. The shadow leaned closer, and the air vibrated with a pulse that matched the warmth. It was hypnotic, magnetic, terrifying. Then, a sudden jolt. The warmth vanished. Lina gasped, stumbling backward. The courtyard seemed to grow darker instantly, as though the absence of that warmth had opened a hole in reality itself. The shadow hesitated. She tasted fear in the air. A smell of burnt leaves, iron, and winter decay. Her fingers brushed something soft on the ground. A coat. Thick, woolen, familiar. She picked it up instinctively. The moment her fingers touched the fabric, warmth returned, not the oppressive kind, but genuine, gentle, almost human. The shadow recoiled. It hissed, an inhuman sound that made her ears ring. The warmth spread through her again, filling her with strength and clarity she had never known. It wrapped around her like an embrace, shielding her from the twisting shapes in the courtyard. Her panic subsided slightly, replaced by a cautious courage. The shadow flickered at the edges of her vision. It did not move closer now. Instead, it hovered, patient, watching, waiting for a lapse in her courage. Lina tightened the coat around herself. It was heavy, comforting, alive with kindness, yet it pulsed with something she could not name. The courtyard seemed to shift again, walls inching outward, space stretching and contracting. As though the very world was holding its breath. She realized she could feel the warmth beyond her body, inside her chest, under her skin, through her bones. It was like holding a living heart that belonged to someone else entirely. A heart that wanted to protect, yet demanded vigilance. The shadow swayed gently. The air shimmered between them. The whispers lingered, faint, like wind through dead trees. Lina's mind raced, seeking a path, a way to escape, a solution. Her instincts told her one thing: do not turn your back. Do not relinquish the coat. Her eyes adjusted. In the corners of the courtyard, shapes became more distinct, objects, debris, remnants of life long past. Yet the shadow remained solid in comparison, an anomaly in this distorted reality. The warmth in the coat pulsed again. A heartbeat, a guide, a warning. The air vibrated with quiet tension. And the night seemed to lean in closer, curious, hungry. Every step she took forward was deliberate. Her fingers clutched the coat tightly. Her chest rose and fell in rhythm with the invisible heart she carried. And the shadow mirrored her movements, slow, measured, testing, patient. The courtyard felt endless now. Walls stretching into angles she could not calculate. Shadows folding over themselves, and the sky above swirling faintly in violet veins. She could hear it breathing. She could feel it watching. And somewhere, deep beneath the warmth, a single thought crystallized in her mind. The coat is not just kindness, it is a shield. But every shield carries a cost. The shadow waited, and Lina stepped forward. Lina felt the warmth of the coat radiating through her, steady and alive. The shadow no longer advanced but lingered, tense and watching, as if waiting for her to falter. She took a deep breath, the icy air stinging her lungs, and forced her trembling legs to carry her forward. Step by step, the courtyard began to change. The twisted walls straightened slightly. The shadows no longer writhed in impossible shapes. The violet veins in the sky softened to pale gray, blending into a calm, quiet evening. The whispers faded into a gentle murmur, almost like a sigh of relief. The oppressive weight of fear lifted, replaced by a cautious calm. The warmth in the coat pulsed once more, slower now, like a heartbeat settling into rhythm. Lina reached the far end of the courtyard, where a narrow path led back to the street. The shadow hesitated at the edge, a dark silhouette against the softening light. She stopped, meeting it with courage she did not know she possessed. In that instant, she understood. The shadow was not evil. It had tested her, measured her resolve. The code of kindness had shielded her, yes, but it had also demanded that she face fear and uncertainty with strength. The shadow slowly receded into the darkness, melting away like smoke. The courtyard felt ordinary once again, the cold air crisp but manageable. And the warmth of the coat wrapped around her shoulders like a protective embrace. Lina stepped onto the street. Her fingers still gripped the coat tightly, but the pressure was now comforting. She could feel the pulse of life in it, a reminder that kindness, true kindness, was both gentle and powerful. The lamps flickered softly along the pavement. The street seemed welcoming, safe, familiar. The first star appeared in the gray sky above, a small, steady point of light. Lina exhaled, slowly, fully. The fear lingered just enough to remind her of the night's ordeal. But the warmth in the coat remained, a quiet, constant companion. She knew now that kindness could protect, guide, and even challenge her. And in that realization, she felt a deep, unshakable strength. The shadow was gone, the cold remained, but it no longer threatened her. With the warm coat around her, Lina walked home through the quiet city streets. Each step steady, each breath confident, carrying both the warmth and the courage she had discovered that night. The night felt less empty now. It held possibility, it held hope, and it held kindness, warm, living, unyielding, wrapped around her like a second skin. Dash dash dash.